This is my continuing series on elementary mathematics, and today we're going to be talking about counting numbers. Where did they come from? Well, let me show you how they originally looked. Alright, this is how they originally looked a long time ago. You say, why do they look like this? Well, I'm going to explain. Do you remember in my previous video when I was talking to you about angles? Well, this is where angles become important. You see how this number 1 is angled like this? You see there's one angle right there? Well, what they did in the line of counting was they counted the number of angles to determine the number. Well, if there was one angle, then this was the number 1. If there are two angles, this becomes the number 2. If there are three angles, 1, 2, 3, then this becomes the number 3. Now what about this 4 right here? Well, do you see that way up there? Even kindergartners will tell you that that is a triangle. What is a triangle? It is an object that has 3 angles. That's what it is. Okay? And this triangle is no different. It has 3 angles. Okay. But it also has an angle underneath the triangle. That's where we get the number 4. What about the number 5? One angle here, second one there, third, fourth, fifth. Okay, let's move over to number 6. That is a square. All squares have 4 angles. They all do. So there's 4 angles right there. There's a 5th angle right there, and there's a 6th one right there. What about this number 7? We have one angle right there, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 2 angles up above. There's 2 angles down below, so that's 5. And there are 2 angles down below here. There's 6 and 7. Well, look at the number 8. It's comprised of 2 triangles. It has 2 triangles. One triangle up there, one triangle down there. Each triangle has 3 angles. Each triangle has 3 angles. 3 angles here, 3 angles there. That makes 6. There's 2 angles right here, 1 and 2. Well, 6 plus 2 is, of course, 8. All right, what about the number 9? Well, you see a square automatically. Well, we already know that squares have 4 angles. Okay? There's a 5th one right there, and a 6th, and a 7th, and an 8th, and a 9th. And that's where we get all that. That's why our numbers are the way they are, because you would use the angles to figure out which number you were counting. Isn't that neat? Now, we have to go one step further with this. Okay. Time to draw another picture. This one will look familiar to you. It's not real pretty, but it'll look familiar to you. You ask kids what this picture is, they'll say, well, that's a circle. But if you say, well, what counting number is this? They'll say, that's a 0. Well, the thing is that what kids are not taught these days is that 0 actually represents the absence of value. You say, well, what does that mean? Well, let's say you have one pumpkin. Now, you can eat the pumpkin, which makes, of course, valuable. But let's say even the pumpkin is rotted. You can actually take the pumpkin seeds out of the pumpkin, plant those, and have another pumpkin later on. So the pumpkin doesn't lose its total value just because it becomes rotten. You can still cultivate the seeds and grow another pumpkin later, or more than one. You see what I mean? So even a pumpkin retains its value, whether it's rotted or not. When you're talking about 0, you're talking about the absence of value. Okay? You're talking about something that is totally empty, like air. Air really basically is empty. Yes, it's comprised of gases as far as that's concerned, but really, you couldn't barter with air. You can't say, hey, I'll trade you this much air for that many fruits and vegetables. It doesn't work that way. Air has to have a value. See what I mean? So you say, well, what about air in a scuba diving tank? That's different. Okay, we're talking about air that you just breathe all the time. I breathe air, so do you. Get the picture? So really, it's not that valuable. Matter of fact, there is really no value to it because you can't trade it. You can't barter with it. So there you go. Okay. Now then, in my next video, I'll talk about the plus and minus sign. I will tell you more in a future video. Stay tuned.